Okay, next up, we have Joanne Forster Martin, who's Manx Shearwater, who's going to be talking about uncovering hidden female figures of Jesus College in Oxford. Over to you.
Hi everyone, it's a real privilege to be here today. I'm just going to try and share my screen. I would put my camera on, but unfortunately this laptop doesn't have one, which is quite annoying. Um, okay, so I hope everyone can see that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we can. All good.
Okay, great.
did ever go to push both links, but it wasn't on.
So I'm normally a student, but I've only become a Wikimedian in the past 5 or 6 months. So it's been really interesting to hear about everyone's stories here. But I first got involved in Wikipedia in June as part of an internship where I was editing articles on biodiversity policy, which I feel like is a pretty unique way to get involved in Wikipedia. But after that finished, I was really inspired to continue editing. And one of the ways I continued was through this project, uncovering hidden female figures of Jesus College at the University of Oxford. So thanks so much to Lucy Moore, who made me aware of this. And this project kind of came from Angela Jackson at Jesus, who's looking to make a trail about female figures from who were associated with Jesus College before the college admitted women. So it's actually only admitted female students for about 50 years, which I found pretty surprising. And this is how I made my first autobiographical article, which was, I mean, I'd made a few articles through my internship, but it was still something I was pretty daunted by. So the first article I made was on Elspeth Hughes Davies, and this was really interesting. So she was a Welsh linguist. She studied languages at the Sorbonne, but she was also known for her support for liberal causes and as a campaigner for women's suffrage and education. One of my favorite quotes comes from her, and she was presiding over a discussion on women's education at the Eisteddfod in 1882. And she said a quote which definitely holds true today, which is that the education of women ought not to be regulated by the whims of stupid men. And I thought that was brilliant. Unfortunately, that was a theme in her daughters' lives. So she had two daughters, Olwen and Myfanwy, who are two very close sisters. Oh, just a note, we don't actually have a photo for Elspeth, but I think there may be pictures in the Welsh National Library, but I haven't kind of been able to get hold of anything. But her two daughters, Olwen and Myfanwy, kind of followed in her footsteps to become suffragists and scholars like she was. So Olwen was, she studied modern languages at what would later become St. Anne's College, which is actually next to me right now. And she earned first-class honours in modern languages in 1908, but she was not able to receive her degree because the university didn't give women degrees until 1920. And she had to retake her exams in 1924, which she'd been working as a tutor for 20 years in French. So I'm sure this was, a real injustice. And her sister, similarly, was kind of not able to receive the degree she'd rightfully earned. So Myfanwy first studied at Bangor, doing Latin and Greek, but she went on after being pulled out because of a scandal, which you can read about in her article. I'd really recommend. She applied to Cambridge, where she studied classics, but as a woman, she wasn't able to receive the first class honours degree she'd earned in classics. So we managed to get a did you know for this, and Myfanwy actually became one of what they called the Steamboat Ladies, and she was able to travel to University College in Dublin to get her degree because no, sorry, Trinity College in Dublin. Trinity College was giving women who studied at Oxford and Cambridge but weren't able to get their degrees, the degrees they'd rightfully earned. So I think that was a really nice thing to hear about during this story, that was, even though, you know, the education of women was regulated by the whims of stupid men, there was justice for at least some people at that time. So as part of this project, Angela really kindly invited me to Oxford for this panel discussion that was held on women's education. So women from 5 of the historically male colleges that admitted women 50 years ago were talking about their experiences. And this was something really interesting to hear about in comparison to my own. And on the right there is the portrait of John Rees in Jesus College. So Olwen and Myfanwy were the daughters of John Rees and Elspeth Hughes Davis. And John Rees was actually the first professor of Celtic at Jesus College in Oxford. And I think this really goes to show how there are so many kind of hidden female stories often behind the portraits of husbands and fathers. And I think Angela's trail, which should be coming to Jesus next year, will kind of give people an opportunity to look at this, especially through Wikipedia. So a final thing is just to say there are plenty of opportunities to get involved. Definitely check out Women in Red if you haven't already. And there are still female figures from Jesus College waiting to be uncovered. And a final thank you to Angela and to Lucy Moore. And thanks everyone for listening. And that's it from me.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. It is always wonderful to hear about hidden histories getting brought to light. So thank you so much. And again, thank you for all of your work.